Brilliant. So cool. So for me, after the TV shows, it was a case of what am I going to do to actually make some money out of my life? Because everything I'd been doing and putting a lot of hard work into, there was never any really financial way about it. It was just giving all my energy, standing out from the crowd, getting nice comments, but eventually that gets quite tiresome, and you do need a little bit of financial backup to kind of help you travel and help you eat nice food and go to nice places and do things. So for me, it was about figuring out how to do something bigger than the norm. Now, my mum and my dad and my brother are all entrepreneurs, so I have it in my blood. And I think that for me, it was a case of I wasn't very good at working for others to the level of where I was still a bit flimsy when it comes to turning up on time. It had never really got out of my system. So I thought, well, what can I create where I can make my own rules? And my dad said to me one day, sitting in his kitchen, he said, "You'll be okay in life because you've got a good personality." Now, when he said that to me, that didn't really mean much at the time. I thought, oh, cheers, Dad. Like, that's great. Because at that moment, I was still focusing on the way I looked and who I was in the mirror. I wasn't too focused on the mindset or the intelligent kind of person that I am today. So my dad, very, very unfortunate, got really, really ill at the end of 2017. And he basically fell over and broke his hip. And that was literally just by simply picking up a piece of litter off the ground. And then not long after that, he flew over to Cape Town in South Africa, where he had a little house that he was going over there living in. And he got mugged. So he got hit round the back of the head, and they took his wallet. But when that happened, it broke his other hip. You can imagine he was sort of 80, 81 at the time. It really, really was the start to his death, unfortunately. And then when my dad came back to the UK, he was bedbound, trying to go to the toilet, trying to feed himself, and it really wasn't working very well. And then one night I went in there and he had like a carer that went round, and he had fell out the bed and he had knocked his head on the bed and he had blood all over his face. And I just thought, Dad, like, we need to get you in a care home. Like, you can't be living like this. It isn't safe. So as soon as my dad went into the care home, Tiger, sorry, I've got a Pomeranian, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll show him at the end of the video. Yeah. So as soon as Dad went into the care home, it went really downhill for him from that moment onwards. But after he had gone in there, when I kept going around and seeing him, because when your loved one is in a care home, you do have to visit them quite regularly. Yeah. So when I was going into the care home, I was like telling him I wanted to become an entrepreneur, and we were talking on the subject. And I said, look, Dad, like, in Leicester, he had this old garage. And I was like, you've got this old garage and you're not really doing anything with it. Would it be possible that you could give it to me and I could maybe start a business up there? And he was like, what are you going to do? I was like, well, I don't know, but I'd like to do something in the garage. Because I'd done the modelling and everything, and I'd been Tiger, so sorry. Because I'd been doing the modelling, I'd been going like into a lot of studios, and I found like a studio environment was always quite sophisticated. It made you feel good. It was a creative space, creative outlet. And I just thought, well, I'm going to build some kind of studio. So that was the mission. And then during the 8 months of building the studio, my dad was slowly dying. So it was a bit of a pull where I was trying to create a business, but at the end of the day, ended up being the closest thing to me. And then he sadly passed away. Now, I just think that when you lose someone really close to you, it's so important that you live for them. So everything you do, you're living to say, do you know what? Okay, this person has died, but now I'm going to make them proud. I'm going to keep pushing forward. I'm not going to bury myself and lose my own self, because it was their time to go and it's not your time to go.
Yeah, carry on the legacy.
100%. So when the studio was finished, that was in sort of late August 2017. And I had a launch night and I had 70 people come, all friends and family. And I remember I'd never spoken on a mic or in front of anybody in my life, really, that had really been listening in. I remember I got the mic and I was just like, I thought I was reading this little piece of paper and I thought, yeah, just read the paper. Do you know what I mean? But it was literally, I blabbered the whole thing. I was crying and I was hysterical, and it was just, anyone that was watching was probably laughing at me. But it was really, because I'd been through everything I'd been through, to stand there, have this studio, and then have everybody there supporting me. It was a massive, massive turnaround. So as the year went on in 2018, I kept trialing out, doing different things to see how I could make money within the space. So the first thing I did was I decided to build a modeling agency, and the modeling agency started growing, and I got sort of 60 people on my books, all different models from across the UK. And then I found myself sitting in my bedroom, passing Sarah Jane to Tom, and then Tom would ring me and say, Sarah is late, Sarah is drinking wine, Sarah has bought her boyfriend. And it got to the point where I was just like, this is not what I'm supposed to do. I just felt like I was sitting behind a computer screen, letting everybody else have the spotlight apart from me. And I always say to anybody, it's 50% about you and it's 50% about others. And that is a really important lesson that you have to always keep with you. So from that moment, I very, very randomly decided to do a women empowerment session. And it came from the vision that I wanted to tell people that we were on a planet floating in the universe. That's all I wanted to tell them. Nick,
where did I hear that before? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So I just wanted to tell people that, because I kept going to places, whether it's a shopping centre, whether it's just standing at like a coffee shop, whatever it was, I would just go like, do you know that you're on a planet floating universe? And 80% of the time they would look at me weird. They would brush the subject off like they didn't really care, or they would just sort of like find it uncomfortable to talk about it. And I thought that's a really interesting an interesting way to figure out people, because people were not realizing that their home was the planet floating in the universe. They thought their home was where we are now, but this is just our materialistic home. It's not our actual home. So I did this women empowerment session, and I literally at random reached out to 7 women across the internet that I'd never spoke to before in my life. And I just said, hi there, would you like to come to a 6-hour women empowerment session where you're going to speak out within the way you think, the way you act, and the way you look? And I went in like winging it. You can imagine I had no experience. I had no real training. I just thought everything I've been through, I've got a story, and I'm at a point now in my life where I feel strong enough to not only speak out, but give other people a voice, let other people be heard. So that was it really for me. That was the start of my journey. And then since then, for that whole year, I did back to back. I did male empowerment, women empowerment, children empowerment. I did disabled, gay, lesbian. I did all the spectrum
Amazing.
to figure out people and to understand people. And then leading into 2019, I then started doing one-to-one clientele. Through the whole of 2019, I did that. And at the same time, I created some big events. One of them was the Role Model Awards. And just kind of went on a journey where I'm building a brand that was leading from a studio into a brand. So the crosswire for me, the hardest part was saying, okay, Boss Studios is a studio, but I also need a brand. And that's when I thought the Role Model Academy. So now I have Boss Studios as one business and the Role Model Academy is the other business. Boss Studios is studio hire, photography, kids' birthday parties, and then the Role Model Academy is one-to-one clientele, group sessions, Zoom calls, and it's also teaching life coaches to become coaches. So up to date, as it stands, I've got a heck of a lot more to do. And I really believe that I can give a lot to this world. So
You've already given so much, honestly.
Oh, bless you.
Honestly, you've done absolutely amazing.
Just keeping it going now and getting it. I'd like to, this for me, it's about building a big team. That's when you're going to see the real Celestia, the proper person that's a real businesswoman. That's going to be the pinnacle when the team starts to grow, because up to now I've done everything by myself. Every idea, every person, I've had to reach out and pull the cord. And advice to anybody watching, just reach out. The worst that could happen is they're going to say no.
That's absolutely amazing, honestly. I'm sure that you get this a lot, but I 100% think you should make a movie, honestly.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
That would be an absolutely amazing movie, you know. I felt like this was a movie that's just scale my popcorn, you know, just listen. Just absolutely just phenomenal, honestly. And, you know, people say like, oh, this moment was a changing point in my life. But with your story, every moment was changing. Everything was changing for you. You were discovering new things. You were reaching out to different people. You were always evolving and becoming a better version of yourself. And yeah, honestly, you should always be proud of yourself. Always be happy with yourself, because you. Our stories happen for a reason, and the reason has come to this day. Because literally, just a couple of weeks ago, I was actually just searching online different random facts, because I try to do that once in a while, you know, just widen my knowledge. And the chances that we're here today, right now, speaking to each other, is actually one in not billions but trillions. It's actually 1 in a trillion chance, and you know, it's absolutely amazing how it's all worked out. And yeah, there's just so much to think about, all these new philosophies that have happened. And as you said, one thing that you stand by is like, did you know we're actually just one speck in this massive universe? And you know, this is our home and this is our planet, and we have to really appreciate that. Yeah,
you can't be too hard on yourself. I think all of us humans, as success grows, we become quite hard on ourselves. If a day goes by and you haven't achieved something, then you can get anxiety. But you've just got to appreciate being alive, and everything that's going to happen is going to happen. Whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, next month, it's going to happen.
Yeah, 150%, honestly. You know, yeah, because I definitely have been harsh on myself as well, you know, like, but you know, you've always got to be happy, because we have this life and we have to live it to the full. We have to achieve the most possible to try and make ourselves happy and others happy, because this is meant to be an experience of a lifetime, and that's exactly what it is, and we have to live to the full. So yeah, that's absolutely been amazing. You know, your story, it's just been so amazing to hear.
Bit hectic.
No, it's absolutely been amazing, honestly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing it with all of us, you know, giving us tips, like things to do in our lives, like reaching out to other people, like try not to do this, do that. You know, it's absolutely been amazing as well.
No problem. Cool.
Yeah. Right, so now that we've spoke about your story, it's time to
Yeah,
go on to the question bit, if that's
brilliant.
all right with you. So
Yeah, yeah.
um first of all, I would like to say about the start of your story. You know, you've mentioned that you had these, I wouldn't say group of friends because they wouldn't have treated you like that if they were truly friends to you. But it was so inspirational. But you were bullied when you were younger, and that's something that nobody should be experiencing, especially now in our day. It should never really be happening and shouldn't have been thought of. But would you mind sharing what you felt during the time where you were being bullied and how you handled it?
Yeah, I think for me, all I ever want to do is just be loved and
Mm,
be appreciated. And when you're being bullied, you think that these people know you at that time when they bully you, but they don't know you. And that for me was something that I didn't realize. I thought they know me, they're bullying me, they're right, I'm wrong, I'm this small, they're this big. But they don't live a life or a day in your shoes,
yeah,
and they're judging you from not knowing you and appreciating you for who you are inside. They're just seeing you, whether it's a small little 10 minutes in your day or whatever. They're just seeing that part of you. They're not actually hanging around with you, going home with you, having dinner with you. They're not doing that with you, these bullies. So for me, it's bullies bullies are actually people who are struggling with their mindsets.
exactly.
And I think for me, to be bullied is it's really tough, because when you, especially when you're young and you don't know where to turn, it can become very you feel very lonely. And when you're young, being lonely is not the way you want to feel,
The
because that's
last.
when suicide and stuff occurs. Um, and that's really it for me. It's lonely. And now that's one of the reasons I speak out online a lot, is because I know people out there are getting bullied, they are getting criticized, especially in this day and age of there's a lot of girls trying to be better than each other, and a lot of things happening. But I think at school it was just about being lonely was the worst part, and that was the hardest part for me, was not being appreciated and feeling lonely. But I just think at the time you think that they've basically put you in a room and in a dark room and shut the door,
Mm,
basically. And that's how it feels. It feels it feels like there's nobody there to
mm,
help you, and the only one that's going to help you is yourself.
yeah.
And that's how I felt, and that's why I took myself out of the toilet and ended up hanging around with people who were completely not my type of people. But I needed to find something to
Mm, yeah.
stop me from feeling lonely.
Mm,
So yeah, loneliness is the biggest part of being bullied. That's
mm.
100% loneliness.
But yeah, and I think that's exactly what I felt as well, and many people in the world that experience bullying on a daily basis, that's exactly how you feel. And
Mm.
you feel like you can't reach out. But as we've spoke about, there are 7 billion people in the world, and there's
Mm.
always going to be someone there to help you and have been through the same experiences as you, and they'll always be there to guide you and be along there with your journey. And you've got to think of it like the bullies that are actually doing this to you, they must not be 100% all right with themselves if they're
That's it.
picking on you, because
That's
they
it.
must have their own problems. It's been scientifically proven. You can check it up if you want, but
100. I already know that you're right.
exactly, yeah, there are like most of the bullies like that are picking on people have been bullied or experienced something low in their lifetime, and that
100%.
yeah, and I think that's a massive part. You want to take that off your shoulders and give it to someone else, which is
100%.
totally not right. But you know, yeah, it's just the way things work. But it's definitely not the right way in that
100%.
sort of sense. So yeah, yeah, I, I think mainly everyone in the world has experienced like a few comments in their lifetimes,
Definitely.
and yeah, we have to try and grow from that, and we have to speak out, because our voice is the most powerful thing that we can have. People say probably have your fist fight and have rough and tumble, but it's your voice that's the most powerful thing, especially for me.
100%. Definitely.
Hmm.
100%.
Yeah.
I remember just quickly that I was hanging around with this girl at school, and she was getting bullied. You're doing dogs in now.
Yeah, yeah, no.
Yeah. Well, at the end of this, we'll show each other our dogs.
Yeah, yeah.
She was getting bullied, and she went round to her friend's house, and then this girl who was kind of against her came round to the house, and they cut off her ponytail when she was sleeping. They literally cut off her whole ponytail. And then the next day at school, I went up to the girl who cut off the ponytail, and I basically said, like, meet me down the hills, we're going to have a fight. And I ended up having a fight with the girl who cut off the girl's ponytail, and it was a fist fight. And there was literally like 100 people watching, and nobody tried to split it up. It was crazy. So, you know what I mean? Sometimes what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
Sometimes the bullies actually end up being bullied.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you know what I mean, they get what they deserve normally.
Yeah, got to stand up for yourself, and
That's it.
yeah, got to help other people as well.
Cool.
So on to my second question.
Yeah.
It's quite probably, you've achieved so much with all of your businesses and your platform and all of your initiatives as well, but it's hard to really think of it on the spot. But what is your next step for your platform?
For my social media platform.
Yeah. Or what you've achieved, with Boss Studios, or you just tell me.
Yeah, well, the Role Model Academy it's fresh this year, 2020. Like,
Right.
it is fresh. So for me, I have built the second floor now to the studio, and that's why we've got Boss Studios on the bottom and the Role Model Academy. You need to come down and see it when you've got the chance.
Yeah.
So yeah, the top floor is now going to be now used as the academy. So for me, it's just about, I've got set packages that I've designed, and it's just about getting these packages selling like hotcakes, and being able to bring as many people towards me as possible. So for me, it's about getting the Role Model Academy up to a level where I feel, you know what I mean, a good 80% really, really feel like that business is going up the ladder. And I really am enjoying doing these interviews, like I've been interviewing some really great people during the lockdown kind of journey, and as the weeks are going by, like, I'm picking out more good people, and for me, eventually it's just about having that team. So I think when a team is built, the more ideas, more vision is going to come into the place. So for me, it's just about getting the Role Model Academy lifted. That's my next big task. Once I've got that to the level of where I really am 100% happy with it, I can then start building a team under me to not only work for me, but also deliver the courses and the packages that I've created. So that's the next big step for me, is getting that 100% right.
Yeah, because it's a new thing. It's just started this year, and you try and make it firm, try and make it to the wide range of people, just like you've done with your first project. You made it that strong, and now you're starting something new, and then you're trying to get it to that same level. So yeah, 100%. I wish you best for the future as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So on to my third question, and this is probably not the easiest question to ask again, but
Okay.
what would you say was the biggest challenge that you had to face in your life?
The biggest challenge, I think losing my dad was a challenge because I'd built up a relationship with him within the last few years of his life. So
Mm,
when I lost him, it was like, well, I can't explain it.
yeah.
It's really tough. It's a really, really struggle. I think to get myself fit and healthy as well was a definite big challenge. Like, I wish in a way I'd videoed a lot of the stuff I did. At that time, I didn't. But the
Mm,
amount of running and the amount of like uphill stuff I had to do through forests and everything, like, I really had to build my inner strength back. And that has been a huge challenge. But to be fair, it's been a fun challenge, and I've enjoyed the process because I do generally feel really fit and healthy today, and I thank myself for putting in the effort to make me feel like that now. So yeah, I think that's the two biggest things really. Building myself up from the broken and lost soul, and
mm,
losing my father have been the two biggest challenges so far in my life.
yeah. We overcome so many difficulties in life, and it's just so hard. But when you prevail, it just I don't know because I've never actually experienced well my when my grandmother passed away I think back in 2014.
Yeah.
It's like I was young there, so I all the emotions that would normally come to me now weren't fully developed at that young age, so I didn't feel it. But then when I saw all my family members around me supporting, my grandmum when she was on her deathbed, you know,
Mm,
it was a strange experience. And now I look back on it, and it's such a devastating thing,
mm,
especially because she died of a domestic violence relationship,
wow.
which
Yeah.
was absolutely horrible. I didn't really understand it, but
Yeah.
back then, but now it's just disgusting, and
How old are
now
you now, Nick?
I'm 13 years old
You're
right now.
13 years old. How incredible, hey?
Yeah.
I'm 30 years old. So imagine me doing these interviews with you now. You're 13 doing these interviews. Imagine what you're going to be like when you're my age. You're going to be, you're going to be like, woo! It's going to be just
Oh, thanks
off,
so much.
off the Richter scale. Never give in on
Yeah.
being the person you are now. Like, just keep up the momentum, keep making memories,
Growing.
putting yourself out there.
Yeah. 100,
100%.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. And it's, yeah, devastating, but we have to try and prevail from it and try and make ourselves better and try and grow from that as well.
Yeah.
Um, so I've asked this when we were doing our live Instagram, which is absolutely amazing, by the way. Enjoyed it so much.
Thank you.
But just for all the people that didn't see that, if you had to live by, I'm gonna make it harder for you. If you had to live by one quote, what would it be?
Yeah. You must be a fool to harm your own soul,
Yeah, 100%.
because that it speaks volumes, and that quote is from me. Like, if I could register it, I would. Like, you
Yeah.
must be a fool to harm your own soul. And that's something that came into my mindset when, you know what I mean, you go back to having a fag, or you go back to having something, and you think, actually, you must be a fool to harm your own soul. And that is the truth. Like, a lot of things that we get up to, a lot of things we do, we end up damaging ourselves, for ourselves, by ourselves. So for me, it's, you must be a fool to harm your own soul. I think that's powerful. You
100%.
say it, say it.
You're a fool to harm your own
No,
soul.
sorry. You must be a fool to harm your own
You
soul.
you must be a fool to harm your own soul.
That's it.
Because we are like so special, just to think about it. Like I honestly couldn't explain how everything was just so right when our bodies were designed in a way. It's like it's just give us that perfect, like we're alive, and it's just given us. I can't explain it because I'm not sure whether or not there is like a god, or there is someone that's designed us. But you know, it's just amazing to think about it. We're designed so perfectly to be alive. The world has the perfect living situations. We just got to think about it. It's like we should be grateful of those things, and there are other people that, and there are other like different planets where have not had the privilege to be like us, and we have to really we have
That's
to
a lovely
really,
thought.
yeah, we have to make it the most of it, you know, because yeah,
Definitely. The best come together though, and I honestly really, really know that the best come together, and that's
yeah.
the beauty. Yeah, wicked. Love that what you just said.
Oh, thank you. So on to my fifth and final question. This has absolutely been an amazing interview. Thanks
Okay.
so much. So it's, I'm sorry for like giving you such these hard questions,
Never
but you
say
know,
sorry. You just go for the hard ones. I don't mind. As long as it's
um,
not maths.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm
definitely
not,
not me. It's like I'm horrible at PE as well.
are you, bless you?
Yeah. So yeah, this question is, what do you think the biggest problem the world is facing today?
Well, obviously the world is facing it faces a lot of problems. Do you know what I mean? But I think
Yeah,
for me, um, I do think two things. I
yeah,
think the first
understand.
one is, for me, I really wish that all the cars were electric. I absolutely, every city or every country I've been to, it's always been really, really toxic with
Yeah,
car fumes. And even if I'm doing a street run and I'm having a great time, I will be injecting car fumes
yeah,
all the time into me. And it really is a killer, I think,
mm,
a secret killer. So yeah, so the first thing I'd love just to make all the cars electric, get rid of all of the petrol cars, just get rid of it.
yeah,
The second thing is killing animals. I think that for me is like one
yeah.
of the worst things that the humans do.
I know,
I understand we're in a food chain. I understand that tigers eat food, animals. I understand the chain, but
but they can't understand that. Like
exactly that.
we're at that, we have that brain and we can
Yeah.
understand things.
100%. That's exactly it. And we have choice. They don't necessarily have choice. So that also is it. They don't have a choice. If they got fed, if the lions got fed by someone who bought a specific thing to them every day, I'm sure they would get used
Yeah,
to being fed and they wouldn't eat each other.
yeah,
But as humans, we have choice. And I think that we are killing so many souls that are, they just look different. It might be a camel, it might be a
mm,
whatever it is. I don't eat camel, but I'm sure someone does out there. But whatever it is, like, these animals have souls,
yeah,
and they're just being slaughtered all over the world every single day of our lives. And it's really sad to think that we're the big hungry monsters, and we're just literally able to trap and kill and sacrifice all of these beautiful animals around us for our own inner gut to
yeah,
enjoy. And for me, that is a problem I believe that the world will always have. And I just think that it's something, there's too many hungry people because of the way people live and die, the system. I just think that that's the way it will always be for
yeah.
the next millions of years. But if I had to place a magic spell on the world, that would be the spell to stop people. Yeah, you're good at, you can definitely you're good at speaking. You're
Oh,
very good
thank
at
you,
speaking. Like I said to you before, your speaking voice is excellent.
thank you.
You on stage, you'll have the whole audience in the palm of your hands.
Thank you.
That's what being a speaker is about.
No, it's
Um, but
yeah,
yeah, it would be great to get you down the studio and come to a
100%.
photo
Yeah,
shoot, and you know what I mean, come and meet me in person when you've got the opportunity. And
yeah.
I'll always be here. And even if you have a day where you feel a bit low, just give me a call.
All right,
Give me,
thank
give
you.
me give me a text, give me a
Yeah,
message. It's not just about setting up on here and
yeah,
giving all our goodness for others. I am a real person, and I am here if you need me. All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wicked.
I know time is precious, and thank you so much for
It,
all of your inspirational words today. It's been absolutely amazing speaking to
oh,
you.
bless your heart.